Hello, everyone. Once again, I am back for another episode of uploading something 5 hours before it begins instead of uploading it as soon as I learn it to get more views. And today we are back with, something actually important other than bowl games. We are here with a first inaugural 12-team college football playoff. And is that probably going to change in the future? Probably so. But it's the first 12-team playoff, and there are two teams from Indiana in there. Unfortunately, they're both playing each other, so only one of them can win. I really wanted to see both go to the natty. Because obviously Indiana and Notre Dame are the two best teams in the playoffs, let's be honest. Oregon, who cares about Oregon? Georgia doesn't even have a QB. No, I'm messing around. But for real, though, we've got our inaugural 12-team playoff, and there are some flaws. Some of these seeds aren't really good. People have argued that Penn State has the easiest route to at least a semifinal, and Oregon gets screwed by playing either Tennessee or Ohio State. But that's all up to you. I just want to see how it plays out. I don't know how it's going to do. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. We're just going to have to see. So, I'm going to be predicting all the games here. There will be upsets involved. There will be upsets. But you'll come to find that my bracket is pretty basic near the end. So let's start up at the top. And we have gotten the 12 seed Clemson and the 5 seed Texas. Now, Clemson barely snuck into the playoffs. They won off of a walk-off field goal against SMU, who I believe deserved it more than Alabama, who a lot of people thought were going to get in. But SMU in, that's good for them. Will they beat Penn State? We're going to have to see. But Clemson isn't really a bad team, but they've had some bad losses. They got destroyed. Yeah, they got destroyed by Louisville. They lost to South Carolina, and they got absolutely destroyed by Georgia week 1 of the season. They got 3 losses, but they were allowed in because of an auto bid, obviously. They won their conference. And Texas, while they did not win their conference, were a high enough seed to be the 5th seed. And this game, I believe, is going to be closer than many people expect. I think many people expect that Texas is going to walk away with the game. And from what I've seen out of Texas, I don't think that's going to happen. But I am still taking the Longhorns to move on to the quarterfinal. I think that Texas is a tad bit better team. Their only 2 losses come from Georgia. Georgia earlier in the season, and then Georgia in the SEC championship game. People have said that they have not played anyone. Of course, that argument can be used for a lot of teams here. We'll get to those. But Texas is still a pretty good team. A lot of people are out on Quinn Ewers. I'm pretty sure he's got, some sort of weird, injury thing. He's going to play, but, he has some sort of injury that could hinder him. They've got Arch Manning sitting in the backup, waiting for his time to shine. Arch Manning, we've seen him this year. He's played pretty good, at least on the running game. Sometimes they put in Arch Manning on, 4th downs and stuff, and he runs for the touchdowns, stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see, if Quinn Ewers doesn't do good and Texas does lose, what happens between those two QBs next season. Because I'm pretty sure that Quinn Ewers is going to stay in college, but I think he said he doesn't want to be at Texas. So, stuff can get interesting. Now, Clemson, like I said, is not a bad team. They do have 3 losses, and they did lose to Louisville, but I think they can match up with this Texas team pretty well. Their QB's Cade Klubnik. He's pretty good. So, I'm thinking a lower scoring game, 27-24 Texas. Maybe there's a walk-off field goal in the middle of there. Similar thing that we saw with the SEC championship, but, Texas actually wins this time. With Texas winning, they would go on to face Arizona State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which we'll get to after I do the first round. Next, we have the most interesting, not the best in my opinion, but the most interesting when it comes in terms to teams. It's not the most interesting for me either, considering I'm from Indiana. But these are still two really good teams, and it's unfortunate that Oregon has the 1 seed just so they have to play one of these teams. Both of these teams are really good, but they have some faults. Ohio State lost to Oregon earlier in the year, and they had also lost to Michigan somehow. I don't know how they lost to Michigan, other than their passing game was bad, and I don't know why. Ohio State has also beaten really good teams, such as Penn State, Indiana. You can argue about Indiana, but they're in the playoffs, so that's really all that matters. Ohio State has been beaten really good teams, but I think they're demoralized after that Michigan game. I've seen a lot of people talk about how Tennessee is going to take over Ohio State Stadium, like make it orange and stuff. And it looks to be the point where that's going to happen. Now, Tennessee, I like Tennessee. They're not the greatest team in the playoffs, not close, but I think they can sneak out a win against Ohio State. I would say the QB's name. I would mess it up because I don't have it in text. It's like Nico Iyama. I'll call him Iyama right now because he has a very complicated last name. But Nico's a pretty good quarterback. Tennessee, though, they did lose to Arkansas, unranked team. I think they also have another loss. If they don't, that'll be embarrassing for me to mention. I honestly do not remember who they lost to. I think they beat Bama. They beat Bama, but Bama's not that good. It's all going to come down to what Ohio State team will see, in my opinion. The Ohio State team that's played really good against teams like Penn State and Indiana, they're going to win this game handily. But again, there's that demoralization factor. I think that Ohio State would rather beat Michigan than win the Natty. That's pretty obvious. To the point where, Ohio State fans are so fed up with their coach, Ryan Day, that they want him fired no matter what. And if he loses this game, or he loses the game against Oregon again, he's probably out because of the Michigan game. So, the fans are going to be demoralized. The team's going to be demoralized. I mean, you seen that fight? Did you see that fight? People are getting pepper spray. I mean, that was the Michigan players that are getting pepper sprayed. But people are getting pepper sprayed. People are getting punched. I think this Ohio team's demoralized, and I think Tennessee is going to go up into Ohio State Stadium and knock them off. Going up to face number 1 Oregon, which I think Oregon would be pretty happy by. I don't think they want to play Ohio State again. Next, we probably have the most boring game of the slate. We have SMU and we have Penn State. Now, Penn State, there's always going to be a factor here. Their head coach cannot win big games. I know his last name's Franklin. Don't ask me about his first name. I kind of forgot that. My bad. James Franklin. Yeah, Franklin, he can't win big games. He's really bad against top 10 teams. However, SMU is 11. So Penn State is safe. In all seriousness, though, SMU looked like they were going to absolutely embarrass themselves and not even make the playoffs when they went down like 17, 24, 20, somewhere around that range to Clemson. And I was watching that game. I was embarrassed for SMU because I thought they deserved it no matter what. and then they just flamed out. And it was going to be sad. We would have to see Alabama, and they'd have to make a run, and they'd probably make the semifinal and play Georgia again, and that'll be some big game. But luckily, SMU turned it around. Forgive me for not remembering SMU's quarterback name. But he is a really good runner. He's also good at passing. And, they came back in that game. They tied the game up with like 50 seconds left. And then their defense and special teams wanted to sell. Got Clemson in the field goal range, kicked the field goal, rest is history. Luckily, the playoff committee saw that as enough to get into the playoffs. So I think they're just happy to be here, to be honest. Penn State is a good team. I thought they would have got boat raced by Oregon, I'm going to be honest. But they played Oregon really close. I believe it was like 44-38, 44-36, something like that, somewhere in that range. I thought Oregon was going to absolutely blow them out. So I have way more respect for Penn State now than I did before. But again, there's that factor where their head coach, Franklin, can't win big games. Now, do I take Penn State? I do. Will this game be close? Who knows? But I think Drew Aller, James Franklin, and the Penn State crew will be able to muster up a win. Then they play Boise State. And I have an interesting take on that. You're going to have to see. But next, we have the most interesting game in terms of an Indiana, a person who lives in Indiana. We have Indiana and Notre Dame, the two biggest college football teams in the state. Because Purdue sucks. Who cares about Ball State? And Indiana State is FCS. And there's a bunch of other colleges, but we don't care about those, let's be honest. We have the matchup for Indiana, basically. It's the Civil War. Indiana Civil War. On one side, you've got the South. You got Indiana, the Hoosiers. What a season from them. Their first 10 win... Voice crack. Their first 10-win season in program history. First 11-win season in program history. Can they make it 12? We're going to have to see. First-year head coach for Indiana. I know Kirk Cinetti has coached a lot of other teams before. He's coached JMU. He's coached Elon. And he coached another team. I forgot that team. Sorry for that. Kirk Cinetti's not new here. But still, first year in Indiana, a team that's went 3-9 the last year and has basically never been good except when they had Penix. Brought him to 11 wins for the first time in program history. Only loss coming to number 2 Ohio State. And he's swept the Coach of the Years. I didn't even know there were that many Coach of the Years. He swept all of them. He's gotten all of them. AP, Home Depot, I forgot the other ones. He swept them all. But, there are some critics because people can't accept Indiana being good. Which, I understand that. But we have to take the same thing for Notre Dame. And you know what I'm getting at here. Both of these teams really have not played anyone. I can admit that. Notre Dame has not really played anyone except for Texas A&M. Indiana hasn't played anyone except for Ohio State. Notre Dame won their game. Indiana lost. That's always something to think about. Of course, there is one big glaring thing about Notre Dame. They lost to NIU. When I saw that Notre Dame lost to NIU, I got mad. Because I thought that Notre Dame was going to crash out and fail, burn out, go like 8-4 or something, miss the playoffs. And of course, at that time, I thought there were no good Indiana teams in the state at that point. Because I didn't know Indiana was going to be that good. Because Indiana's never been good. So the fact that they're both here is really a miracle, considering Indiana's never good and Notre Dame lost to NIU. Again, both teams really haven't played anyone. This is an even matchup in my opinion. A lot of people have been saying that Notre Dame's just going to walk through them easily, and I disagree with that. I think this is a pretty even matchup. And you know what tilts me in favor of one team and not the other? The offenses. Because both defenses are pretty good. Notre Dame obviously has an amazing defense, but Indiana has a pretty good sleeper defense. There are a lot of good players on the defense. But for the offense, I'm leaning Indiana. And that's why in my first... Well, is Tennessee Ohio State really an upset? I guess it technically is. For my first real upset, I am taking Indiana over Notre Dame to go and face Georgia in the Peach Bowl. The Sugar Bowl. There is no Peach... Texas Arizona State's Peach Bowl. I was thinking Peach Bowl because Georgia. But they're playing in the Sugar Bowl to play Georgia. Why do I say this? I think that Indiana has a better offense. Notre Dame has a QB that is Riley Leonard. And Riley Leonard is not that good of a passer. Let's be honest. He's alright. He's a good QB and all. But he's more of a running QB. They're more of a running team. They got like Jeremiah Love, I believe. I think. I hope so. He don't really pass as much as run. Riley Leonard, really good QB for running. Love, a really good running back. But Indiana, however, has a good QB in Curtis Rourke. Has two good running backs in Lawton and... I'm really forgetful, though. Well, I'm going to see if I can remember the other guy. They have really good receivers. Especially Miles Price and Elijah Surratt. Those two are really good. I think their offense is more surround. I don't even think that makes sense. And I think that tilts this in favor for IU. But let's be honest. Both teams are winning. I mean, I can just do this now. Because Indiana's winning the Natty. Let's be honest with it. No, I'm joking. I'm messing around. I can't fix that, can I? I can't fix that, can I? Oh, no, I can. I'm taking Indiana. Okay. Now for the quarterfinals. We have actual bowl games. I don't think the first rounds count as bowl games. Don't at me on that. But we have actual bowl games here. We have the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, one of the best bowl games, the Fiesta Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl. Now for the Peach Bowl, Texas, Arizona State. Arizona State has a really good running back in Cam Scatterwood. I'm taking Texas. I take Texas for the reason that I believe in them more. Arizona State has 2 losses. Texas has 2 losses. Arizona State lost to Texas Tech and Cincinnati. I think it was Cincinnati. It's either that or Iowa State lost to Cincinnati. Because one of those two teams lost to Cincinnati. If Arizona State did not lose to Cincinnati, then I do not know who they lost to. But Texas, I believe, is the more proven team. If they can lock up Cam Scatterwood, they can lock up the Arizona State offense. It's just going to depend if they can do that or not. So I'm taking Texas to go on to the Cotton Bowl Classic. Who will they play? Well, we have Tennessee and we have Oregon. Oregon is the best team in the nation. The consensus best team in the nation. And I think they win this. Why do I think this? Well, they've dominated basically every one of their opponents. Late in the season. Early in the season, there's some questions there. Because they almost lost to Idaho. They almost lost to Boise State. But then they turned it around and looked really good. They beat Ohio State. They beat Penn State in the in the championship game, there was, I believe, one concern. I think it was with some team, Minnesota. There was a concern late in the season. Wisconsin. They had a concern with Wisconsin, but they cleared that pretty easily. So Oregon, consensus best team in the nation, one of the best defenses in the league. Dylan Gabriel is a really good QB. Have a really good offense. I'm taking the Ducks to move on to play Texas. Now we have the Fiesta Bowl. Penn State, Boise State. And we've seen Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl before. Namely that Oklahoma game, the legendary Oklahoma game. They got the lateral and the 2 points. It was all cool. They were 6th. They were undefeated. That was a good season for Boise State. And now they're here, actually in the playoffs this time. And they are facing off against Penn State. Remember when I said Penn State is not good in top 10 wins? Could that come to bite them here? Well, I've got 2 words. And I think we all know those 2 words. And they're not even words. It's just a name. Ashton Jeanty. That's all I have to say. No, I'm kidding. Ashton Jeanty is obviously, in my opinion, I know Travis Hunter won the Heisman, and he deserves it. But in my opinion, Ashton Jeanty is the best player in the nation. You can't stop. And before you say, oh, well, Boise State hasn't played anyone. Well, when they played Oregon, week 2, he ran for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns and almost put his team on his back and won the game. The only reason they lost that game, in my opinion, is because Oregon got a punt return touchdown. Or is it 2 punt? They got a punt return. They got a really good punt return. That didn't really set Boise up well. And, don't sleep on Maddox Madsen. He's a really good QB, too. He can run. He can pass. They've got some good receivers. They have a pretty good tight end, in my opinion. But again, Ashton Jeanty, you can't stop him. So, I am taking what won't be a seeded upset, but will definitely be, what is it? Like a major betting upset here. And I'm taking Boise State to go to the semifinals to play at the Orange Bowl. Who will they play in the Orange Bowl? Will it be Indiana? Will it be Georgia? Now, I really don't want to seem like, a homeboy here. Indiana has a shot. Georgia is a really good team. They have an amazing defense. They almost lost and should have lost to Georgia Tech. Just saying. They have a really good defense. Their offense is if Carson Beck is going to be out. And let's be honest, that's a plus for Georgia. Carson Beck really is not that good of a QB. But can Indiana step up to the plate and upset Georgia? I think it'd be a close game. I think Indiana would, shatter a lot of bets. But unfortunately, if Indiana beats Notre Dame, I think Georgia beats Indiana, unfortunately. If Notre Dame wins, I'm 100% taking Notre Dame because I have more trust in them. I have less trust in the Hoosiers. But can the Hoosiers win against Georgia? Yes, I 100% believe that they can. And you're lucky that I didn't even pick them. And then we have our semifinals, the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl. One more win and you get to go to the national championship. First, we have Texas and we have Oregon. I'm taking Oregon. Oregon, again, one of the best teams in the nation. The best team in the nation. I've been off on Texas since the Clemson game, and I don't think that'd get any better. Could Quinn Ewers look bad? Could Arch Manning come in? Could someone get injured? I mean, you never want to bet on something like that, obviously. But I don't think Texas has what it takes to win the Natty this year. I think Texas is a really good team. I don't think they can win a Natty. I don't think that they played Georgia full strength, Ohio State or Tennessee full strength, Penn State full strength, Indiana and Notre Dame full strength. I don't think they would win those games. I think with the draw they have, it's pretty easy for them to get to the semifinals, but I don't think they're a team that can beat like the top 10 seats. Except for Arizona State, because let's be honest, the auto bid thing is kind of stupid. Or, I mean, the automatic buy thing. The auto bid is cool, but the auto buy, that's a little iffy. We're going to have to see, obviously. If Arizona State shocks the world and beats Texas, then it works. But if they get mollywopped, then there's going to have to be some considerations in wherever they do this at. I don't know where they file college football stuff at. They don't even have a commissioner, so I'm taking Oregon to go to the national championship. But who will accompany them? Boise State or Georgia? Will Carson Beck be back at this point? Who knows? And will Carson Beck even start over the backup quarterback? Who knows? And Boise State, again, 2 words, Ashton Jeanty. Unfortunately, I'm taking Georgia to move on to the national championship. I actually do think the Georgia defense can lock up Ashton Jeanty. I know that's crazy to say, but let's be honest, Travis Hunter would get locked up by the Notre Dame defense every day of the week. So there's always going to be a better defense than you. There's always going to be a problem. And I think Georgia's defense is better than Oregon's defense, let's be honest. And going back to what I said earlier, again, if Notre Dame beats Indiana, I would choose them to go to the final. I would choose them to go to the national championship. Not saying Indiana can't do it. But the craziest thing is, if the team from Indiana either won, and especially if Indiana wins the game against Georgia, it would be Boise State versus Indiana to go to the national championship of football. That is a crazy thing to think about. Imagine telling someone when the season starts that, in the semifinal, in the Capital One Orange Bowl, Indiana and Boise State both have an equal opportunity to go to the national champ. They will not believe you. Unfortunately, though, with me taking Indiana, I have less trust in them to beat Georgia, although I still believe that they can 100% do it. So I'm taking Georgia to go to the Natty. And, this is pretty obvious here. I've been meat riding them the whole video. Give me Oregon to win the national championship. While I do see Georgia's defense better than Oregon's defense, Oregon's offense is way better than Georgia's offense, let's be honest here. I think that Oregon can put up more points than the Georgia defense can stop them enough to get enough points for the Georgia offense. So yes, I'm going for a high-scoring game. Oh. I would have put like 52 for this, but the whole playoffs? Well, saying every game would have 50. It'd be 5 times 11, 55. That'd be 550 points. So I'm going to go 475. 475 points for total. But in the national championship, I think it can go upwards of 50 and 60. Anyways, though, that's my video. Whoever watched it, thank you. I know I post my stuff late. I need to get into the habit of posting it as soon as I learn it, and not the day when it happens. Because normally, my strategy would be, if I post it later, everyone would already be searching it up. But the strategy really should be, if I post it first, when everyone looks it up, they're going to find my stuff. So that's on me. I'm going to try to get better at that. And anyway, I've got another video soon. It's going to be a Colts playoff chances if I ever get around to it, hopefully. Yeah, we Colts do actually have a small chance. It's not small. It's like 15%. And we don't deserve to be in anyways, but, you know, you always got to have a chance. But anyway, that's the video. Go IU, go Notre Dame. Whichever one beats the other, I'm 100% going full root mode for them to go to the Natty. Win the Natty, obviously. For the state of Indiana. And let's be honest here, if Michigan State was here, they'd mollywop every single team. Okay, that's the video. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace. Oh, shoot. What did I do? No. No, what did I do? Ah, no, we're good. Yeah, anyway, that's the video. See you guys later. Peace.